welcome to Misery Zone. My name is Kurt Burdick. I make a comic called Death of Power, and I am currently getting close to hopefully finishing the line art for issue 8. It's not important. Who cares about that? It doesn't matter. But Monica is important, and Daniel Clowes is important. And I'm gonna take a look at this book, and in looking at this book, I am going to compare it and certain elements of it to Maestro Ari Aster and his film Eddington, and also Beau's Afraid. There's elements in this book that I felt kind of have a dialogue with those two films. And supposedly Daniel Clowes is friends with Ari Aster, and this guy was in the movie Eddington. I didn't see it, but my friends told me about it, and I assume that's the case. And I think Ari Aster is friends with Daniel Clowes. So I want to ruin that and compare their works against one another to put a wedge in that friendship. So first off, I mean, this is actually a relatively old book. This came out like a couple years ago, I think. But it is really beautiful. Look at this end sheet. Look at that. That's just so gorgeous. And this book, probably in all of comic history, has not only the most important, but the best use of end sheets. So, and look at this title page. So, and from what I got from reading this, and I read it a couple months ago, so my memory is foggy, but it's really just a love letter to EC Comics. That's and that era of comic work. And it's primarily about, a girl called Monica whose mom was named Penny. But I really love the vibrancy of this color, especially this yellow. This yellow is just gorgeous. And, like everything that Daniel Clowes does is just fantastic. Some Peter Max reference there. But yeah, so it's about Monica, who is estranged from her mom, and eventually becomes, I think she makes soap or something, or candles. No, she makes candles. I believe it's candles. Again, it was a fucking month ago. I read it once, right? I'm not 100%. So let's read it again. Has it? So the two chapters I'm going to read is Glow Infernal and The Incident. So, and for this one, there is a sequence in Beau's Afraid. It's in the beginning of the third act, I believe, or around that area where he gets the main character gets lost in a forest and finds this cult, and then it's a very beautiful, trippy sequence. So let's read this. Let's take a look. And again, the colors are just gorgeous, and also always fantastic lettering and sound effect and logo lettering. Okay, so and again, I'm trying my best to read without being an embarrassment. So, okay, here we go. So much had changed in the 4 years I've been gone. The railroad had stopped running, for one, and what remained of the tracks now laid rusted and broken down. There's no down. No down. So it's and broken under the weeds. Shit. Let me read that again. Oh, God. So much had changed in 4 years I'd been gone. The railroad had stopped running, for one, and what remained of the tracks now laid rusted and broken under weeds. There was no sign of the old station house, and the main road had been wiped out in some kind of avalanche. Had I not grown up here, I'd never have known there was a town on the other side of that thicket. It's really... I particularly love the use of color in this book. It's really well orchestrated. I too had changed. I'd studied science and the arts. I traveled, worked as a seaman, not sailman, or sailing man. No, seaman. Seaman. Become a man. Worked as a seaman, became a man. Would my own father even recognize me? Dear old father. How I missed him. After Mother passed on, it was just the two of us. I think this is real interesting, how he's indicating the grass in the field with like limited marks and the strong use of color. I think for me, like sometimes I get too caught up in doing unnecessary details. So like looking at panels like this one is, I think, very useful for me. Graveyard. I'd always taken the shortcut through the graveyard, a pleasantly macabre detour, but what I found there left me trembling. The headstones desecrated. So I guess I was to his mother. Yeah, my mother's stone appeared to have been repaired, while others lay in ruin. An appalling sight. The way this is written is very much like an EC comic. Or it almost has a feeling of H.P. Lovecraft, too, in the cadence of some of his stories. Darling mother, what a tale you could tell, Avis. The very character of the town itself had changed. Sturdy old houses had been replaced by tawdry structures of plaster and lathe. My family home still stood, though in grievous disrepair. Disrepair. Had father fallen into financial ruin? Oh, I love that red. That's a gorgeous red. What a calamity. Dad's letters had been infrequent, rote and formal, with no mention of hardship. Was he trying to protect me from some awful truth? There was no answer, and all the doors and windows were latched. Would there be no abatement to my mounting dread? Oh, Father, oh, Dad, where are you? And again, use of very specific detail to indicate that this is a cobblestone road. I left my bag under the stairs and made my way toward the town square. It was then I noticed the ghastly absence on the skyline. The old church. It's gone. Uh-oh, church is gone. In town, the streets were busy with workers on their way home. Few of the faces seemed familiar, but no one wanted to stop and talk. Excuse me, sir, Is it and like this strangely dressed woman? I made my way to Sam Rondo's. They'd know what happened to Dad. After Mom died, he ate there every day, sometimes more than once. Rondo's Grill. With an E. Yeah, I believe so. Krill? I don't know. I love this lettering there. I that's really I haven't really figured out how to like do these like bold beginning letters to narration box, narrative box, whatever the fuck it's called. I don't know. I'm stupid. Okay. The place was all but empty. I thought better of talking to the rough characters in back, as they were not the sort with whom my father would fraternize. There was no sign of Sam or Rachel. Even their pictures had been taken down. The old mop woman barely looked up. So beaten down by life was she. I knew her from somewhere, but struggled to make a connection. At last it came to me. She was the headmistress of my secondary school, an old, elegant, stately woman who'd held considerable power in our town. Miss Van Thorn? That's a very interesting illustration of an aged person, because you can recognize that this is an older cartoon of this person. I don't know if that was insightful. Alright, okay. I tried to ask her about my father, but whatever ruinous debasement she'd suffered had rendered her mute. May I inquire about your daughter Vera? I remember her fondly from school. At last she spoke, a barely audible rasp. As Elsinore? The interesting with the limited color here really helps make things readable, I think, and move the eye around. This red to here like really helps, I think, like just subconsciously move the eye. Okay, let's see what's Elsinore. Elsinore was a lovely seaside amphitheater where they held the town pageant every summer. Hearing that name, Elsinore, brought forth a cascade of cherished memories. I noticed the streets were starting to clear, a sense of urgency in the air. Hurry inside! Sunset in 15 minutes! Okay. That's going to be in like 2 years. This is actually a prophecy of the future in America. So let's see where this leads. The desolate state of my family was persisted. Let me read that. I totally read that wrong. The desolate state of my family home persisted. So I decided to head out into the woods, where I soon found myself on the hidden trail to Elsinore. It was just as I remembered, an idyllic refuge. A small crowd had amassed in the seating area. They're sitting down. So this is like an amphitheater, like a Roman amphitheater or some bullshit like that. I could only make out their distant silhouettes in the gloom. They appeared to be in costume. Suddenly, there was a burst of applause. If I read it like that would really make this different. And the crowd rose in unison. Oh, I like this tag. That's interesting. I guess it's like leading to the song. The three young women emerged from the sea singing a tonal wordless melody of such otherworldly beauty it left me a shiver with profound emotion. And that's really smart to put this up. That's beautiful, because this is and this makes it very Lovecraftian, because he's illustrating and describing an otherworldly beauty that cannot be perceived by common human senses. And by hiding that behind these panels is interesting, and also that also kind of connects with the events, like their song is controlling the people from the previous page. Like all these panels are controlled by these songs, by through this use of the tag. I think that's just gorgeous, very, very cool. As they dance forward into the moonlight, I recognize them as my former schoolmates who didn't go to the prom with me. Florence Pine, Tansy Taylor, and the aforementioned Vera Van Thorn. Oh, that's Vera. That's the daughter. Well, you know what she's going to look like when she's older. That's actually not bad. Yeah. She looks alright. I used their loud singing to muffle my footsteps as I crept closer to the gallery of onlookers. They were strangers to me, their skin a nauseating bluish hue. Stage makeup, perhaps. But to what purpose? It's a very beautiful illustration. And again, this vibrant fluorescent color is very wild. Like all the colors really pop. So whoever printed this did a fantastic job. Down below, a pony cart appeared from the bushes. Attended by the ghoulish cohort, the gallery went silent. Oh no! I recognized the old man as Mr. Yost, a friend of my father's, who once ran the town cannery. And in that moment, what had seemed but a devilish mystery became as a visit from the great beast of Revelation himself. That's nicely done. And again, I really love how this sound effects covered by the narration. And that's interesting too, because in a lot of the EC comics are so text heavy, and the text was always done before the illustration. A lot of the illustrations, feel constrained. So I'm sure that's not. I don't know why. That is just what I was thinking when I was looking at it. I ran from the scene in terror through the woods alongside the main road. The audience made their way back to town, strolling along as though they had just left a mildly interesting play. All laughter and gay chit-chat. What godless scourge had bestricken my beloved Inglewood? Back in the town, I kept to the shadows. The streets were a teem with townsmen and outsider alike. I noted a strangely familiar face in Rondo's window. Jim Jones! Oh no, it's not Jim Jones. It was my father, my dear dad. His stylings were unfamiliar, but there could be no doubt it was he. I was barely able to contain my joy. Dad, oh Dad, it's your William. You're Billy. Oh Dad, I'm so happy to see you. Huh? Excuse me for a moment, William. I'll be right back. It's good to see you, son. And with that, he slipped off into the crowd. Everything would be okay now. He'd calm the roiling waters which raged upon my conscience. Really beautiful, creepy panel there. That's very intense. But when I peered back through the crowd, I felt a sudden chill. Was Dad on friendly terms with the strange visitors? I then felt a second chill at the sight of Mrs. Van Thorn. She got married. That kid was after marriage that she had. Vera, not a holy union was formed, and then they had the kid. It wasn't out of wedlock. She wasn't a single mom. No. Had she known of her daughter's complicity in the gruesome theatrics I had witnessed? She edged closer, whelming my psyche with dread, that I might hear her grave admonitions. Admonitions. Perfect. I'm doing very good. Very good, Kurt. You must leave immediately, William. You're in grave peril. Run now towards the caves along the upland trail. Really nice, really beautiful illustration there of the expression. I get, like, from looking at this, that she's trying to say something that she cares about, but also trying to hide that she cares. It's very subtle illustration. She spoke with such dire urgency, I didn't dare hesitate. I'd find Dad later at the house. I knew the path well, a lightly trod shortcut to the old copper mine. I could sense I was being followed, despite my stealth, and I broke into a brisk trot. Hello, William. Oh, dude, I'd be so... Boing! I'd be like, hey. But that's not what Billy's not into it. Hello, William. That's his reaction. He's startled. Oh, wait, no, I'm wrong. He's into it. Oh, shit. Okay. Vera and her compatriots, Sybil's three, converged and began a disharmonic dirge that told a terrible history, that of a blue invasion. They sang of an inbred aristocratic sect, exiled centuries hence to the hidden swamplands for their unholy worship of an immortal entity known by the name no Christian tongue could pronounce. Lost under mysterious circumstances, generations of blue wanderers have roamed in search of what outsiders call the bleeding thing, their vanished deus. Oh, misfortune, oh, sorrow, the ghastly daemon had migrated through uncharted tunnels to a cavern abutting our luckless hamlet. Thence became a great corruption, a reign of terror, under which all good townsfolk were either slaughtered or debased, made servants to that falsest of idols, and so it is to this day. Oh, Jesus, that's really cool. And I like the scraggly border for the flashback. That's really cool. This serrated border, which kind of gives it a feeling of cutting. I don't know. Whatever. We are the daughters of Hollow Cypress, resistors of the Blue Scourge. We've been waiting for you. And with that, Vera and I began a journey apart from the Sistren, a treacherous voyage deep into the woods towards the cavelands. After toilsome hours, we stopped for the night. She told of her varied humiliations since the siege, her feigned complicity. She honored me as a noble townsman, pure of heart. May your strength and endurance be as that of 1,000 oaks. Boing! Sorry. Look at that beautiful. This is beautiful. It's very romantic. Never before have I been so moved by passion for both cause and crusader. All right. Nice use of because everything is square. It's like a panel. And the very good use of a circle panel to indicate a sex scene or a coitus, I think. Yeah, some people think my name's Curtis. It's not. It's Kurt. But Curtis does sound a lot like coitus. Like if I had a lisp, I did have a lisp at a time, one time when I was very young, and I couldn't say my R's. So I would say if my name was Curtis, it would come out as Coitus. So there's a little backstory there. Okay, the next morning we completed our wearisome course. Along the way, she told me of a plan. Oh, Jesus. Here they are. Yeah, Jesus. She would lure the morning guard from his duty, while the other daughters were to thwart the arrival of his replacement. With this momentary freedom, I was to make my way into the foreboding breach. I was given but 2 tools, a jar of naphtha and a pair of safety matches. Dun dun! With no further instruction excepting God damn it. With no further instruction accepting an admonition. I can't say admonition. I can't say it. To courage and duty. All right. All right. You know, baby steps, people. One day I will read fluently out loud. Okay. I watched until they were out of view and ran then to the dreadful opening. Once inside, I was guided by a fiendish aura and the sound of plaintive moan. Please? Please kill me! My nostrils were assailed by a terrible stench, but I continued on, even closer to the light. Please! You must have mercy. I can't endure another second. Very horrific. And this is where it definitely becomes a love. I mean, there's so many Lovecraftian themes and, nightmarish themes, dreamlike themes in this story. I stood immobile in horror, recognizing the corporeal detritus of fallen townsmen amid the putrescent chaos. Kill me! The monster's entreaties served only to confound my psyche. How could such a malevolence desire the same as I, one purified in the blood of Christ? But I hadn't the luxury of such heady debates, and gave over with mighty vehemence to my duties. So he lights him on fire. Very beautiful use of simple colors there. And tones. The creature laughed in joyful relief as he burned. It was in that moment I came to question my complicity in this ghastly spectacle. The task had been simple. Surely another soul could have acted no less bravely and far more expeditiously than I. Sulfur filled my lungs, and I turned to escape, but found myself quickly overcome as I plodded blind through the labyrinth. This feels like a like a Hanna-Barbera illustration or some sort. I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know how long I lay unconscious. Months, perhaps. I had vivid dreams of the immortals and their secret history, from Adam's Eden onward. The first sight upon waking was Vera's face. I was free of pain, floating above her like an angel. And then my vision fully cleared and I saw the rest of them. And I came soon to understand that I was the focal center of all human existence, the one true religion. The once bedeviled townsfolk of Inglewood and their heirs after them were now to live enriched by the benevolence of my sacrifice. I would watch over the generations, my roots nourished by the blood of their vanquished, until a day when I, too, would plead for an unmingling from the immortal guest, a final release from sawdust and tan bark. Very trippy. And I'm not 100% sure how this interrelates with the story, but this story does revolve around a cult, kind of like a Heaven's Gate style type cult that Monica becomes, her mom was a part of, and she becomes a part of. But the next I will read. So this very much feels like a sequence from Beau is Afraid. Now let's see another story. I think it's on page 49. Let me see. The Incident. And this one spiritually and emotionally reminds me a lot of Eddington, which I did very much enjoy. Joaquin Phoenix and Pedro Pascal, everyone in that film was just fantastic, and I think Eddington is I think it's my favorite movie this year so far. I know a lot of people. I've also, and I too, enjoyed One Battle After Another, but for me, I think Eddington is the winner. So fuck you, Paul Thomas Anderson. All right, let's read. Okay. There I sat, 1,200 feet above the snow line in an abandoned donkey shed, wearing a fake beard and waiting for a break in the weather. I'd been there 3 weeks, posing as a mute woodchopper. No phone calls, radio signals, visitors, or newspapers. Nothing but me, the weirdos, and the kid. I'd been hired by the boy's mother to bring him home. All I needed was a sign that the road had thawed and I'd make my move. She said he'd been taken against his will, but it seems to me he was pretty pumped to be part of their little revolution. Kind of like a Patty Hearst situation. Anyway, once it all went down, things got a little messier than I'd liked. But I managed to haul him out of there in one piece. Really interesting. I like that use of the sound effect lettering and the way he's showing the gun. The Incident. Who the fuck are you, man? This is an illegal abduction. Take it up with mommy. I'm just the hired help. How the hell did you get mixed up with those cornballs in the first place? Silent treatment, huh? Fine with me. I'm not getting paid enough to give a shit. Again, great expression. I think Daniel Clowes is just really good with character acting in his cartooning. We made it to the main highway, but there was a roadblock at the on-ramp. I thought maybe it was about the business back at the donkey ranch, but nope. No cars going to the city. One of the officers happened to be an old buddy of mine. Hey George, it's me, Johnny. What's going on? Sorry, Johnny, you gotta head back. Listen, George, the boy's gotta get to his mother. She's worried sick. Can't you let us through? Normally, George was an easygoing guy, but the way he looked at me, I don't know. And again, just a great... He's very good at drawing these expressions where it feels like the characters are holding something back, like, and that pressure to hold something back is causing a lot of anxiety. So it's really impressive. What is it, George? What's the matter? I said, turn around. Luckily, I knew a back way through the desert hills. Where the fuck are we going now? To your mom's house. Like I said, I need the other half of my dough. I turned on the radio, hoping to figure out what was going on. Something had definitely happened. But I'll be damned if I could figure out what it was. We made it to North Inglewood by sundown. The mountain road led us right into the kids' neighborhood. The one on the corner, that's Mother's place, correct? Told you, I don't want to see her. Tough shit. I rang 3, 4, 5 times, but she didn't answer. Dong, 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 dong. You see people showing up in the back. He's like looking at him. Some neighbors were checking us out. Rubberneckers. Kid had a reputation, I'm guessing. I recognized the lady who answered the door, Mrs. Pine, the maid, for when I came to pick up my retainer. Your mom's not here. She's at the hospital. What's going on? Is she ill? Something happened to her, like an accident. She's in the hospital. That's all she would say, so we went to find out for ourselves. As we pulled out, the neighbors started yelling, and a big fight broke out in the street. The kid was pretty shaken. He'd known Mrs. Pine since he was a baby. She was wearing my mother's dress. That is pretty fucking creepy. Oh, yeah. Could all this have anything to do with your buddies at the ranch? I don't know. How could it? Really nice use of yellow and blue. That. Inside, the kid spotted his family doctor leaving the ICU. Dr. Russ, where's my mother? Dr. Russ! Look, I can't do this right now, so get the fuck out of my face, okay? Now the kid was officially spooked. He took off down the hall. Mother! Mother! I called the office and left a message for Finley to come meet me at the hot dog stand. I sat there a long time, looking out at the street. In a way, everything seemed perfectly normal, but there was just something off, a feeling of madness in the air. Johnny? Whoop, 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 whoop. Finley. Feel like I'm going nuts. You have to explain to me what's happening. Oh, God, Johnny. I can't even. It's canon. There's an old TV show called Canon. I forgot the name of the guy. He looks like William Conrad from Canon. All right. Oh, God, Johnny, I can't even. I'd known Finley for years, through some truly unimaginable shit, but I've never seen him like this. Easy, buddy. Take your time. Sorry, let me read that again. I hiccuped. Easy, buddy. Take your time. He told me the whole story, but it got so complicated I couldn't really follow along. It got me to thinking about the kid. At his age, I'd been to war, had my heart broken, all that. But he was just getting started, an innocent lamb. Why had I been such an asshole? Back at the hospital, I ran into another familiar face. A guy I'd hired a few times to lean on deadbeat ex-husbands and the like. Johnny boy! He was laughing like a clown at everything I said, like it was all just some big joke. It made me want to punch his face in. The front desk had no knowledge of a Mrs. Avis, so I went from room to room, looking for the kid. I found him hiding in a crowd, pale as a ghost. He'd been waiting for me to come get him. Before I could say anything, he indicated with a sideways look that we needed to get the hell out of there while we had a chance. Driving off into the night, neither of us spoke a word. Pure silence. Maybe someday we'd get dragged into the craziness like the rest of them. But for now, we had each other, and that was everything. A goddamn gift. Okay, so both those stories are very nightmarish and very excellently illustrated and written. If you haven't read it yet, which most people have, I think, at this point, I definitely recommend it. And again, look at these. Look at that. Jesus Christ. That's so good. So, yeah, that's the show, I guess. All right.